Hello, welcome to this update for the severe weather and also the tropics. There we have some things going on, so stay tuned. Let's talk about the severe weather first. So let's see, there's the heat wave as well. That will take a look. So we have this light risk of severe weather today. Spots of New Mexico into Texas, Kansas, Nebraska, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, and also into parts of Colorado and more areas. We have this marginal risk around it, goes all the way from Mexico to Canada, and there's this light risk on the mid-Atlantic into the northeast as well into New York, Pennsylvania, a few spots in Connecticut. So be careful in those areas today. We do have a 5% chance for tornadoes in the far northern plains and upper Midwest. So be careful in those areas, especially in the 5%, and this will affect Canada as well. So expect a tornado threat across Canada. And there's 2% as well from Nebraska to Canada. So be careful that tornado threat. Wind is 15 and 5% in all the areas, slight and marginal. And there's some hatched for northern Minnesota, some very strong gusts, some hurricane force gusts possible. So stay safe in those areas. Please be careful. There's hail also hatched in North Dakota and Minnesota for some 2-inch or larger in diameter hail. So please be careful in those areas. There's the 15.5% and also 15% on the East Coast. And just for context, we already have storms happening in those areas near Pennsylvania and also some in spots of North Dakota and into Minnesota. Some storms happening in southern Manitoba, some stronger ones. So storms are already going on in many spots there. So let's see here. Isolated to scattered thunderstorms are expected to develop today across the northern plains and upper Mississippi Valley, some of which could produce large hail, damaging wind gusts and tornadoes. Storms associated with severe wind gusts and hail may also develop across parts of the northeast and the southern central plains. So be careful in those areas today, especially like there's the HUR here, shows the updraft velocity. It does have some pretty strong storms, a few spots in northern Minnesota, but especially there into Nebraska, it does have some stronger tracks in the 12Z run, and especially in southern Ontario, it has some very strong storms, some strong updraft velocities in some portions there. So really be careful, a tornado threat and some very large hail. This is more indicating of large hail in those areas. So stay safe, southern Manitoba, more spots in Quebec as well. So here for the significant tornado parameter, let's see if it shows something important. Like for example 0Z this evening, it does have something in North Dakota and to South Dakota, but not that much. It has more in southern Ontario, some higher tornado parameters close to 4.5. So be careful in those areas, the tornado threat. And there's some links for Canada in the description. The Environment Canada, they do have some, like, they do issue some severe thunderstorm watches or tornado watches, slightly different than the U.S., but they do have, so check those links in the description. And here, later on into the evening, still shows there northern Minnesota and to Ontario, especially in Ontario, close to 6.2 on the HUR in a few spots. So that's very high. Be careful in those areas later in the evening. By 3Z, it does die down a little bit, but still shows around those areas. So stay safe, be careful. And does show here like the storms themselves, like region. Let's go to north. So shows already a few storms in North Dakota. They're happening, and then they go, especially later this evening. You can see northern Minnesota, a few stronger ones, Nebraska and southern Ontario, some very strong ones. You can see like that white and the stronger cells with a lot of hail, some very large hail. This goes throughout southwestern Ontario and more to northern Minnesota. So stay safe in those areas. Shows a few ones in Nebraska too. A finger or two in Kansas, but not that much. Some stronger ones in Nebraska. So be aware in those areas. And tomorrow already shows a line of storms in the Midwest and a few portions to watch. So please stay safe in those areas. Cape does show the instability around mid-afternoon before the most storms fire. Spots of Minnesota and to southern North Dakota, more than 3,000 to 3,500 joules per kilogram. A few spots close to 4,000 in those areas, but the rest of North Dakota doesn't really show anything. In Ontario, just like the southernmost portions of Ontario, not further north, doesn't show anything else. So the storms that fire within this environment across southwesternmost Ontario will have a lot of energy and juice in the atmosphere, but further north, not really. So stay safe in those areas. For the whole area here, does show in the plains a little bit more there in New York in the northeast, a lot of Cape as well. So be careful those storms. And tomorrow for Monday still shows Cape in the Midwest, plains into the northeast. So we'll keep watching those areas and stay safe those storms. Before we take a look at day two, let's see what they have for Canada for day one. So the show today Manitoba, those areas are moderate, those portions like 30 to 50 millimeters of rain, and in area B, even 50 to 100 millimeters. They mention a few storms, and a little bit of hail in spots of Alberta possible, and also in area B, some 2 to 3 centimeter hail in those areas in Manitoba. And day two, a similar thing, still shows some storms possible there in those areas, but like, let's see here. The area changes slightly in Alberta into part of Saskatchewan, but a similar thing. But the real deal today is in Ontario. So there in Ontario for Sunday today, we have this high area chance for strong severe storms in area A. So area A shows 100 to 120 kilometer per hour gusts with those storms, some 4 to 6 centimeter hail, some 30 to 50 millimeters of rain, and also tornadoes, as you can see here. So especially in southwestern Ontario, those areas, some tornadoes, those severe storms, and especially very strong wind and hail. So stay safe in those areas, warn others. And industrial in area B across central Ontario, up to 90 km per gust for few storms, 3 to 5 centimeter hail, and 30 to 50 millimeters of rainfall as well. So stay safe in those areas. Please be careful. In Quebec, it's also showing like southwestern Quebec. Let me verify if this is Saturday, so valid Saturday. So let's put day two here, Sunday to Monday. So this is Sunday today. So shows more centrish Quebec, a few portions in area B, some stronger gusts, some hail, and that's show a lesser tornado threat today still in those areas, central southern Quebec. So be careful. Those areas does show Atlantic Canada. Nothing really creates a storm or two southern Nova Scotia, but a low chance. So be careful in those areas, especially as these storms move from Manitoba into Ontario. They will get stronger later and from North Dakota into Minnesota. So stay safe. And for tomorrow, day two for Monday, shows there in the U.S. From Kansas to Michigan, a slight risk, and a marginal from Texas to Michigan. So be careful in those areas. A big area of general thunderstorms possible. And there's this tiny marginal in northern Maine as well. So tornado threat mainly from Kansas to Michigan for Monday. Be careful. There's wind as well, 5-15%, including Maine, and hail just 5% in those areas near the plains, upper Midwest. So be careful. There's like strong to potentially severe storms made of Monday from parts of the Great Lakes into the Central Plains. So yeah, stay safe in those areas. In general, there's this mid-level, mid to upper level shortwave trough initially over northern plains and Canadian prairies, moving into Ontario on Monday as the surface low moves into Quebec. Trading cold front will move across parts of northern Central Plains, the upper Midwest, and Great Lakes. And expensive upper ridge remain placed across much of the eastern corners. So yeah, stay safe in those areas tomorrow too. For Tuesday, already shows this light risk in Wyoming to northern Colorado and Nebraska, South Dakota. So be careful in those areas Tuesday. And there's this marginal risk goes all the way from Wyoming to Maine. So be careful, and a bunch of general thunderstorms possible further most of the eastern half of the country in spots of the Rockies as well. So be careful. Severe storms possible Tuesday from eastern Wyoming to southwestern South Dakota, Nebraska Panhandle, northeast Colorado strong. Isolated strong to severe storms possible from parts of Central Plains, Midwest into the Northeast. So still be careful Tuesday for day three. And the fire risk does show an elevated in those areas, the Great Basin, into the Rockies, and even into parts of the high plains. So be careful. There's a fire in New Mexico there and some other spots. So stay safe. They're still elevated for tomorrow in spots of the interior west and four corners. So be careful. We have some watch possible mesoscale discussions there for the storms, already the severe thunderstorm watch. So yeah, stay safe in those areas. And let's see if I find the. I'll show you those those severe thunderstorm watches for Canada and how you can see them. So there's here like for the main page you can see like watch warning. So let's see if it loads here. So it already shows like some warnings in Ontario for heat warnings. The heat wave affecting the U.S. and the Midwest will also get hit hard spots of southern Canada. So there are those heat warnings there. But in Ontario, a tornado watch, they have hazards, isolated tornadoes, gusts up to 200 km per hour, ping pong ball size hail possibly approaching tennis ball in a few areas and heavy rain. So stay safe in those areas. This link's in the description. And there's a lightning map here too. That's interesting. So yeah, stay safe. And here for the US, we have a giant chunk of the country under these heat advisories and extreme heat warnings. We have extreme heat warnings in the plains into the upper Midwest, more spots near the Appalachians and Mid-Atlantic, and big chunk of the Northeast as well, all the way to Vermont, an extreme heat watch in Maine. That's kind of rare. So yeah, stay safe in those areas and heat advisories in a big portion there of the country. Show some red flag warnings, spots of the west, and even winter storm warning in northern Montana. So there's a big contrast of things happening here. Like there's this freeze warning in Wyoming. At the same time, there's an extreme heat warning not so far from you, like 2 states away. So the weather is very crazy. So be aware in those areas and a flood watch in Texas already, and you will see why. So be aware. There's here now, for the excessive rainfall, a slight risk across southwestern Texas, like West Texas, and into New Mexico, those areas. So be careful today as well. And a marginal in the northeast, and also a marginal further north, those storms. A slight risk from Texas, New Mexico, and another one, Kansas to Wisconsin for Monday. So be careful, some heavy rain because there's this moisture surging north from Mexico going around this upper ridge, and it's bringing like that trail of storms there. So stay safe. Day 3 is a moderate risk of excessive rainfall around New Mexico. I hope this helps with the wildfires, but I hope there's no flooding either. So be careful in those areas for Tuesday across central New Mexico. Stay away from flash floods, especially in some hilly areas and like semi-desert terrain. There can be those flash floods. So yeah, stay safe. And there's like a slight risk further in the upper Midwest plains and this marginal too. But especially that moderate risk, stay safe. Day 4 still a slight risk in New Mexico, not one in the upper Midwest. And day 5 a slight risk further near the Great Lakes, na marginal. So stay safe in those areas. Day 1 through 7 does show possible close to 4 inches. A few spots in New Mexico, 3 to 4 inches. More spots in Iowa and to Wisconsin, Minnesota. Nebraska and those areas there. So yeah, stay safe in those areas. Be careful. Some rain in Florida too, and more spots there in Canada. So stay safe. And there's like this corridor here coming from Mexico, all the way to the Midwest, that heavy rain. So yeah, stay safe. There's here like some key messages for the heat wave still, if you want to read this. I'll put this link in the description too. And basically, be careful, drink a lot of water, have proper cooling if you can, and avoid too many extreme outdoor activities. So stay safe in those areas. So here, there's like, let's see if there's something else. So for those temperatures now, I'll just here like good. So we have for today, for Sunday, still some 90s to low hundreds there in the plains in a few spots, and widespread 90s across the southeast, the mid-Atlantic, 97 in a few spots. And they do say in the key messages that we might get higher than 100. I saw some even saying to 110 in a few portions of the mid-Atlantic next few days. So stay safe in those areas and kind of colder there on the west, those below average temperatures. So the show here like during the night, tonight into Monday morning, some 30s, 20s in the higher Rockies there, into Utah, Wyoming, Montana. So stay safe there. Uh, it's kind of colder, but there in the Midwest, just like in the upper 70s during the night, so that's still hot. Be careful during the night as well, especially during the day if you didn't get enough cooling during the night. So stay safe. There's like some hundreds for Monday afternoon across the Mid-Atlantic, a few spots in Maryland, 202, 100, North Carolina, Virginia, even Connecticut, 100. So be aware those areas shows in the southeast, the 90s, and 202 in Arizona still in a few portions there. So it does show Tuesday morning, still slightly colder in the Rockies and Sierra Nevada, in a few spots there. And it does show day 3 for Tuesday afternoon to like 100 in Massachusetts and spots of North Carolina, Virginia, so 90s in Florida, more than 102 in the Southwest, and if even 90 in Washington already. And just some 70s in the northern plains because that those below average temperatures kind of coming in. So be aware. But shows even to like 102 in Pennsylvania, 100 in New York. So that's very high. Be careful. Shows to 102 in Massachusetts, spots in 203 in Virginia. So stay safe in those temperatures. Be careful. This is Tuesday afternoon. Then there's Wednesday here. Shows slightly better further north, but still some 90s to 100 in Virginia. So yeah, be careful. Those areas still some 104 in the southwest by next Wednesday, and especially North Carolina to South Carolina to 101 by the middle of next week, Wednesday. So yeah, stay safe. So 90 still in the plains in a few areas. On Wednesday morning, the show still slightly colder there in the plains. No, not plains, in the Rockies. So be aware. And it does show like Thursday morning, still some 70s in the southeast, Midwest, into the plains during the night, and during the day still shows like some 90s of southern plains and some 90s in the mid-Atlantic into the east coast, but does show to 107 already in Arizona again, so starts climbing again. There does show some 80s during the night in Arizona. That's very hot during the night, so stay safe. Some 70s the Mississippi Valley in more areas. The show Friday afternoon to 108 again in the southwest. So stay safe in those areas. So 90s further east, day 6 during the night. The rock is slightly less, but not cold and still hot during the night in other areas. And once again to 109 in the southwest next Saturday afternoon. Some more 90s in the plains in the southeast. So be careful in those areas and stay safe. There's this snow today still, a few spots in Idaho, into Montana and Wyoming, next 48 hours. So be careful in those areas. And a few spots in Idaho to like some 8 inches, even close to 10 inches, a few spots. So be aware in those spots still. And yeah, and wind gusts still slightly gusty in the plains today. In the Colorado Rockies, some more wind too. So be aware in those areas, but nothing too crazy. And yeah, so stay safe. Now those temperatures in Canada does show here like still Sunday afternoon today some 20s close to 30 in southern Ontario, and then this goes during the night in the Rockies slightly colder and spots of actually Nunavut is doing quite fine but still cold in the further north spots and into northern Quebec. This goes during the afternoon. It starts kind of boiling spots southern Ontario to 35 degrees, so some 32, 33 spots southern Quebec and Ontario, and all of those major cities more than 30 degrees. So stay safe. This goes cools down during the night, but kind of remains in the 20s Celsius during the night. So be careful too. It shows slightly colder northern Quebec and a few spots. And Alaska is quite fine and warmish. So shows a few spots in the Rockies colder, but during the day does increase in Alaska and Northwestern Territory to like some 27 degrees. And Tuesday afternoon in Quebec still shows in Ontario and Quebec some 34 degrees in a few spots, more spots to 32. And just for perspective, like in Fahrenheit, it was close to like 102 or something, but in Celsius, like 40 degrees in New York City. That's very, very high temperatures. New Jersey, Washington, D.C. to 40 as well. That's like 101 or something. So those are very big cities, so very hot temperatures. So stay safe there, stay cool, especially the urban heat island effect and those very hot temperatures. So stay safe. And then Tuesday, this goes slightly better in Ontario, but still kind of hot by next Thursday in a few spots, but much better. This is next Thursday afternoon, the 26th. Very warm in a few spots, central Canada, but not crazy hot. So yeah, but still a few spots warmer. But especially Monday afternoon, tomorrow will be one of the hottest days. There's the icon model shows as well some 34 to 35 degrees in a few spots. So yeah, stay safe in those areas. And be careful now for rain. Before I forget, let's see here. So still shows like those spots in Alberta and British Columbia. It's better. Still some rain, a few spots, a little bit heavier, but it's better. Some 53 millimeters, 68. But those storms there, spots of Ontario slightly heavier, some 70 millimeters, 60 in a few spots southern Ontario. So yeah, beware in a few spots Nunavut, a little bit of rain further in Alaska and Yukon, some rain as well. And does show here the European model next 5 days, spots of Iowa into Minnesota, as high as 5 inches on the European model into Wisconsin. So the European does show a lot of rain. Be aware those areas. This is until Friday, some more New Mexico there, more spots. So stay safe. Just checking for snow and some wind. Still shows northernmost Quebec and Labrador. A little bit of snow and some there into northern Ontario possibly. If the northern side of those storms with some colder air. Does show still some in the Canadian Rockies to 4 centimeters, a few spots in Alberta, British Columbia, and the Europeans even show like the Sierra Nevada in California, like less than 2 inches. So yeah, it does have some snow in Alaska in the mountains, a few spots. This is actually the icon, not the European. So the European itself, it does have very tiny bit into northern Ontario, just like 2 centimeters, but more into northern Quebec there. Those areas, and it does have some in the Sierra Nevada too, the Rockies and those areas. So be aware, and yeah, stay safe. There's wingus as well. They're in the plains, like I showed you, those are gusts on 40 to low 50s mile per gust in a few spots in the plains, especially today into Monday. Shows also Monday in central Canada, a few spots into Quebec on Tuesday, slightly stronger, and still a few spots on the west periodically, but does show like Friday, a few spots in the Rockies, especially Tuesday, the 24th, a few spots in the west. Nothing that strong, just slightly breezier. So yeah, be aware, especially today until like Tuesday, those gusts, especially like there's, let's see here better. So there's the icon. It does show some 50 mile per gust in Kansas. In the Rockies shows even more. So yeah, stay safe in those areas. And this goes Sunday into Monday. Still there are spots of the northern plains into the prairies, and later still some in eastern Canada, the Rockies. So yeah, stay safe in those areas and just check if there are any storms in any other areas because we checked Eastern Canada but didn't look at the west too much. So there's British Columbia and actually shows some areas of moderate possible, some gusty winds and very small hail in a few spots in British Columbia. So be aware. And this is Saturday to Sunday. So today's Sunday. I don't think this is for today, but here. So Sunday today shows more into southern British Columbia and all the way to Yukon as a storm or two. Nothing too crazy, but a storm or two. So be aware those areas and yeah, stay safe. Now you might be wondering, what is this area in the middle of the Atlantic? This is like in the subtropics, so not tropical, but there's this trough of low pressure located 500 miles east southeast of Bermuda, and it's producing some disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Some development this system is possible during the next couple of days before moves into a region strong wind shear. This system is expected to move northeastward over the central Atlantic during the next few days. So it basically has around 2 to 3 days to form before it goes into more wind shear, and it's just 10% for now, so a very low chance. But we'll keep watching. But if it becomes something, just stay there in the middle of the Atlantic, so no biggie. But this in the Eastern Pacific is kind of biggie. Shows like some 70% next 7 days, and this 10% for 8 hours. So does show disorganized areas of showers and thunderstorms, okay, a couple hundred miles offshore Central America. An air low pressure is forecast to develop from the system within the next day or two. An environmental conditions appear conducted for subsequent gradual development of a tropical depression. It's like to form at the middle of next week, so like by Wednesday or Thursday, while the system moves west, northwestward. off the coast of Central America, southern Mexico. Locally heavy rains possible parts of Costa Rica and Nicaragua through the early part of this week, and that's a concern for flooding there. So be careful in those areas. First, the GFS for the Atlantic. So it does form a low pressure with that disturbance there, just like east of Bermuda. But just like 1015 millibars, very weak, barely nothing. But there's the European, it tries to form a low pressure too, but struggles a lot. So the European doesn't really have anything. The GFS might have something, but the European nor the icon barely nothing. So there's the Canadian Model 2, shows like this goes does form a low pressure like the GFS there as well, but like very weak, probably nothing crazy. So we'll keep watching, but if that becomes something, be very short-lived. So nothing crazy. But then the Eastern Pacific, the Canadian model forms a tropical storm by like the 27th, and it goes into Mexico again, the Canadian model. For now, there's too little evidence that this will happen, but you probably just go out to see. But there's the European model, it tries to form something there too. Like this is the 28th, this goes and it does show something tries to form there off of Mexico, but goes out to sea. So be aware, those areas, there's the GFS too, shows like uh, this goes, but let's see here. So the GFS tries to form something faster, but then it disorganizes and forms something again near Mexico. So the GFS is trying to form something close to Mexico by the end of June again. But there's the icon, a lot of rain in the southwestern Caribbean, Nicaragua and Costa Rica. Then this goes, the icon tries to form something by Tuesday, but then it weekends later. So this might form there, but still, like most evidence is showing something weak. But some evidence is showing something close to Mexico again. So we better watch this. So there's the rainfall accumulation shows like the icon has in Central America near Costa Rica, Nicaragua close to 170 millimeters in a few spots, even to 200 and a localized spot or two in Nicaragua. So stay safe in those areas with flash flooding and some landslides as well. So shows in Costa Rica, a few spots 200 millimeters, 134, some areas in Guatemala too. So stay safe. There's the European, northern Costa Rica to southern Nicaragua, some 176 millimeters, 168 to 133. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful in Panama, more than 90 to 100 millimeters in Costa Rica. So be careful some flooding. And also Mexico, these heavy rainfalls near central to eastern Mexico, near the Gulf, and all the way to northern Mexico, there near the U.S. So shows a few spots, northern Mexico to 124 millimeters, and central to western Mexico too. So stay safe in those areas. There's the GFS, the central western Mexico spots, southern Mexico, but the GFS is absolutely nuts in Central America. It shows like to 300 millimeters in Nicaragua, 200, 300. So the GFS really showing a big thing. But just until Wednesday, it just shows to like 200 meters, and until next Saturday, it shows 300 and all the way to Honduras 400. So I don't believe this too much, but the European has like 66 meters in the same place that the GFS had 400. So I trust more this scenario here, but you never know. But in either way, there will be some very heavy rain there, and be careful with flooding and everything. So there's like here. in the Caribbean. They show a few chop waves near Trinidad and Tobago, a few spots southeastern Caribbean still. Be careful, some stronger storms from time to time, but a few showers and storms also in Grenada, some Easter Grenadines, Barbados, a shower too, and in St. Lucia, some showers around Dominica, Guadeloupe as well. So be aware, but especially southwestern, southeastern part of the Caribbean. So be aware and like shows here some possible showers and storms, a few stronger storms, a few spots, and more showers later. So be aware in those areas. A few afternoon storms in Cuba, Jamaica, Hispaniola too. So shows like some 30, 28 to 30 millimeters, a few spots. Cuba shows even central areas to like some 38 millimeters, some more in the Cayman Islands. So yeah, be aware, some showers and storms too. So let's see here. Lluvias muy fuertes en algunas partes sur de México, pero más al este de México, cerca del Golfo, y más lluvia fuerte norte de México, así cerca del Pacífico, también centro de México, más tormentas y más al norte de México, y también en Costa Rica y Nicaragua, más lluvias muy fuertes en Nicaragua, más de 100 milímetros, y un pronóstico muestra casi 300. Entonces, muchas precauciones, Costa Rica, Nicaragua y hasta como Guatemala, Honduras y estas zonas. So stay safe, be aware in those areas. Those temperatures are still quite hot spots in northern Mexico, still northern Yucatan this afternoon as well. So nothing too extreme like it was before, but stay safe. Does show northwestern Mexico to 38 near the southwestern U.S. So be careful. This goes a few days like northeastern Mexico close to 37 degrees, western Mexico even 39 to 40 in some localized spots by next Thursday. Next Wednesday, they'll show next Thursday afternoon the 26 to 41 degrees again, those areas northwestern Mexico. Slightly colder in the mountains during the night, but they'll show right to like 42 degrees again, a few spots by the middle to the next week. So stay safe in those areas. Still slightly gustier, a few spots in the Atlantic into the Caribbean, all the way from the Canary Islands to the Central Caribbean. Those breezy conditions. This goes Central Southern Caribbean, and still some days next week in the Eastern Caribbean, especially like Wednesday in a few areas. After Friday, it's a little bit better, but still some wind, so still be aware in a few spots, and probably there's a little bit of dust still in a few areas. Nothing too crazy, but still be aware in the Eastern Caribbean and a few other spots. So stay safe in those areas, be careful. And the image of the day, today is this crazy lightning strike I photographed last year. So yeah, stay safe, bye.